Namaste. Today we're going to learn about sorting of materials into groups. So, does anybody know what is sorting of materials into groups? Okay, if anybody doesn't know, let us learn it today. So, first, before learning what is sorting of materials into groups, we're going to be learning about what are objects. Objects such as book, plants, and cake, and many more objects can be sorted in groups. Like some are grouped on the basis of their color, some are grouped on the basis of their smoothness, while some are other groups which we will study about them in higher classes. So, now we have learned about objects. Now we're going to learn about luster. Luster is nothing but about the material's freshly cut surface. Now we're going to try an activity. Cut a small piece of wood with adult supervision. Then you feel it. You feel that it has smoothness and a little shine. This is because of its freshly cut surface. So now luster is anything which has smoothness and a little shine. So let's move on to the next slide. Hardness. So hardness means that if you compress anything such as iron, you can't compress or scratch it, but if you take cotton or a sponge, you can scratch it easily or compress it. So, the objects which you can compress or scratch easily are called hard objects. And the ones which you can compress easily and scratch are called soft objects. So now we have learned about luster and hardness. So we're going to learn now about soluble or insoluble. What is soluble or insoluble? Yes, you are right. Soluble objects are the objects that can dissolve in water. Insoluble objects are the objects that cannot dissolve in water. Try this activity. Take some salt and add it in a glass of water and stir it. Take some sand and add it in another glass of water. Which one goes and which one disappears? The salt disappears, right? So this happens because there is some intermolecular spaces in the water, and thus the salt takes up the intermolecular spaces in the water. Therefore, the salt dissolves, whereas sand does not take up the intermolecular spaces. This is why sand doesn't dissolve in water. Now we're going to learn about the theory of float and sink. We know the objects that float or sink. So now we're going to learn about it in detail. Floating objects are the objects that float in water. Such objects such as rubber tubes, floaties, etc. Sinking objects are the objects that sink in water, such as coins and spoons, etc. So here we have a picture that this floats in water and the coin and spoons sink in water. Let's move on to the next slide. Transparent and translucent and opaque. So we know what is transparent, what is translucent, and what is opaque. This, a glass of clear water and a clear glass are examples of transparent objects. Now, translucent is this frosted glass where you can see here it creates some moisture and thus it's translucent. And here we have a cake which is opaque, so you can't see through it, and light also cannot pass through it. Therefore, cake is an opaque object. So, we have now learned about the luster, hardness, transparent, translucent and opaque, hardness, and float and sink. So, thank you for watching this. I am very pleased to be teaching you people about this topic which I have learned. Thank you.